Okay, Isaac, I'm going to... Isaac, I'm going to bring Farah in as co-host.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you, Isaac, so much.
No worries, it's been my absolute pleasure. I will see you guys at 7:30, 8 o'clock for the live discussion.
7:45, 7:30, something like that. But stay with us, okay?
Will do. All right, bye.
Okay, so Farah is with us and she's co-hosting, and we're going to kick off with Natasha's. Now, we did say that we would keep Tasha in the screen in the corner, and Farah, we're going to keep you in the screen in the corner for all of them apart from the first. Okay, so I will share my screen again. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the last part, the third episode, third and last, called Meander, of the Winter Show exhibition this year, which is so far feels like it's going swimmingly. I have just had a glass of wine, so things could all go awry. Let's hope not. So Natasha, are you there? She is fantastic. Hi.
Hi.
Are you going to say anything, or do you want me to just start it?
You're going to see the final outcome of my project, which is, as I said before, about progress and process. So keep this in mind while watching this video.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hello and welcome back to my 15-minute session. In the last video, I talked about how my project idea changed over time, what influenced me to change so much, and I explained what is my project's connection to nature. In this session, I will focus solely on the final outcome. As I said before, my project was mainly about experiencing and noticing process. I really wanted to keep process as the main topic of my project, and in order to achieve it, I decided to start my series of concrete poems at the beginning and language-inspired drawings leaning to the end, with one solid topic, and finish with a completely different one. In case the explanation I gave you didn't make sense, I will try to explain it some more. So basically, for my series, I decided to go from the topic of creativity. So the starting image would, you can imagine it as a milestone, starting with creativity, and then each new image has to push that creativity topic onto a pathway that leads us from there to here up to the topic of freedom, which is the last image. And basically, I wanted to portray that smooth process where each topic gradually changes until we get a totally different outcome than the one we started with. Of course, we could argue that creativity and freedom are somewhat similar in a sense. However, these two can lead to totally different outcomes when we try to expand them, and we try to think about them more widely. All right, so I think I explained it enough about that. And let's now hop on to the next thing, the rules. Because you might already figure out, okay, there's this theme of continuity with each topic starting to be more and more leaning towards freedom. All right, but where's language in that? So to implement the language in this and to make it a little bit harder to myself as well, I decided to implement some rules, as well as have the finishing image prepared before the others. So the images prior to the last one will actually prepare the last. I went from the topic of freedom, and then I started with creativity, and I filled the middle part, the last. This is because I actually made the last image as a part of my experimentation, and I didn't want to include it in the finishing project before, simply because I didn't have that project in my mind yet. I was focusing on a completely different project at the beginning, which you know that was a series of poem translations if you watched my previous video. And so after I started thinking, how can I alter the project so that it could still maintain the same meaning, but make it more easier for myself, so I wouldn't have to worry whether my translations are correct or not. I decided that actually, since I want to go from creativity to freedom, this image that I already prepared actually reminds me of freedom the most right now, even if it's freedom in a political sense, because freedom can mean many different, can have many different faces. If you think about it, there's artistic freedom, political freedom, and many more. So yes, the first image I prepared was actually the last one. And to keep the theme of continuity, each image's caption will start with a letter that the previous one ended with. So for example, if I wanted to use the word creativity for the topic of creativity, the next image would have to start on the letter Y. I think this is clear enough for now, so I will start to uncover the first image. All right, so as you can see, the topic is creativity and the word is open. The language is English, because the language I wanted to use first didn't change. I wanted to use English as the first opening language ever since the project was in its early stages, where I had a completely different idea for the project. And I went with the first image that popped into my mind after thinking about the word open, which is a window. It's rather straightforward, as I was still testing my waters, testing my options to see what works the best with this medium. I was still relatively new to the medium of concrete poetry, and I was a little bit confused. What can I do and what can't? What I can't do, what works the best with the medium. And I decided to start with something easy and positive. I will start uncovering the second image. All right, so this is Polish language, titled Nowy Świat, which means New World in English, shows two parallel images. I like to think about them as a new idea emerging from an inspiration, starting alike. As you can notice, the theme of continuity is kept, with the next sentence starting on N, the letter D, last one ended on open, Nowy Świat. However, there is a mistake along the way with the next image. All right, so let's not wait any further and uncover it. Now, if you cannot read hiragana, that's absolutely fine. The caption says "Douzurusku," which more or less means "nice to meet you" in Japanese. However, this phrase is rather difficult to translate certainly. You might have already noticed that there is an inconsistency in following my own rules, because Nowy Świat starts on T, And if you heard what I said clearly, you probably can guess that Dolduyurusku starts on letter D, which shouldn't happen if I wanted to follow the consistency rule. This mistake comes from my notes, where I looked at the English translation of the phrase and took the last letter from there. Despite kind of ruining the final outcome process for me, I decided to keep it since it's a very human thing for us to make mistakes. Even in the final stage of the process, even in the final outcome, there is still room for mistakes. As for the meaning, I like to think about it as making a welcoming, warm space for the idea in your mind, getting used to it, and letting it spread out comfortably. All right, let's now uncover the next one, which is Korean language. This is where I started to stray from the concept of concrete poetry and started experimenting with incorporating drawings, digital drawings into the series, caused by pure curiosity. Also, I kind of wanted to step back into my comfort zone. Even though this entire project was made for me to step out of it, I kind of was looking for a shelter, simply because I was confused by how all of this works, and I wanted to try my old methods with a fairly new project idea. The word I used, uri, meaning we, keeps the continuity, with at least with following the ending letter equals starting letter rule. However, when we look at the topic, it might seem detached from the previous one, being about welcoming and expanding a new idea. In my thought process back then, it was a rather smooth transition from expanding an idea to reflecting about yourself and how you are perceived by others, versus how you perceive yourself versus how you actually are. So the reality, the objective reality that isn't tainted by your or somebody else's subjectiveness. And how all these interpretations are detached and confusing, but to a degree, they all belong to the same person. Moving on to the next one, which is Spanish.